o'clock, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. Because of COVID-19 social distancing recommendations, our meeting tonight is being held virtually via Zoom. Council members, city staff, and myself are all joining remotely. The public is invited to participate by using the instructions that are included in the City Council calendar item listed on the front page of missionks.org. Public participants will be allowed to make comments through the online chat feature. Please note that the entire group can see the post. If you wish to make a public comment, please state your name and city of residence for the record. Please be conscientious of others trying to speak and speak slowly and clearly. And if I need to confirm something that might have been difficult to hear, I will ask for clarification. To begin our meeting this evening, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Audrey, would you please call roll?
Boltinghouse.
Here.
Schlosmacher.
Here.
Inman.
Here.
Thomas.
Here.
Pring.
Here.
Rothrock.
Here.
Flora.
Here.
And Davis.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, to begin our agenda, item 1, we don't have any public hearings tonight, but we do have one special presentation, which is the Missions 2020 Championship Tree Award. I would like to invite our Director of Parks and Recreation, Penn Almany, to share some information about the program and the winning entry for 2020.
Thank you, Mayor. Congratulations are in order for Ronnie Vaughn and his pin oak that's located in the heart of Mission. It's been around for close to 50 years. And although Ronnie has just recently inherited the beautiful pin oak in his yard, he's more than happy to show it off and allow it to be an accolade and asset to the Mission community. It was a pretty contested ballot this year. We had 3 applicants, all of which had beautiful trees, and Ronnie's pin oak obviously had the most support and the most beautiful foliage we've seen this past year. So congratulations to Ronnie Vaughn and pin oak.
Right, we congratulate our 2020 winner, and we hope this tree continues to grow strong and be a staple in the magnificent landscape that contributes to Mission being a Tree City, USA. Congratulations. Moving on to item 3, issuance of notes and bonds. We do not have any this evening. So let's move on to item 4, consent agenda. Our consent agenda does have 7 items on it this evening. Our city council committees met on February 3rd, and we fully discussed each of these items. The committees agreed that the items listed on our consent agenda are routine enough to be considered under a single motion. Other items considered by the committees will be presented under committee reports later on in our agenda tonight. I would like to note that although it remains on our consent agenda, the resolution appointing a city historian was revised following the February 3rd, 2021 committee meeting. The reference to presentations to school or community groups was removed, as it is not currently a responsibility of the volunteer position. If a council member or member of the public would like any item removed from the consent agenda, they may request that at this time. If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Mayor, I move the city council adopt the consent agenda as printed, items 4A through 4G.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just to note that 4A, the minutes are going to be amended to correct for attendance.
Okay. Anybody else? Hearing none, Audrey, please call for the vote.
Crane,
Aye.
Rothrock,
Aye.
Flora,
Aye.
Schlesmacher,
Aye.
Thomas,
Aye.
Inman,
Aye.
Davis,
aye,
and Boltinghouse.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
All right, that completes item 4. Moving on to item 5, which is public comments. If any members of the public participating via Zoom would like to make a public comment on items that are not on this agenda, now would be that time. Please submit your comments or your questions using the chat feature, and remember that your questions are visible to all participating in the Zoom meeting. Moving on to item 6, seeing no public comments. These are action items from the Planning Commission. We do not have anything from the Planning Commission tonight, so we will move on into the committee reports. First up would be Councilmember Crane. Will you please provide a report from the Finance and Administration Committee?
Thank you, Mayor. The Finance and Administration Committee met on February 3rd and considered a total of 4 items, including acceptance of the meeting minutes. The declaration of surplus equipment, along with the new CMB license application and the appointment of our city historian, were all approved under the consent agenda. There are no additional items to consider on the regular agenda tonight.
All right, thank you. Moving on to community development, Councilmember Flora.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The Community Development Committee also met on February 3rd and considered 5 items. These included acceptance of the committee minutes, the wayfinding plan, the communications and marketing contract renewal, and the bridge contract inspections, which were all approved under the consent agenda. There is one additional item for consideration tonight. This is item 7A, wall mural guidelines and application process. Wall murals, especially in the business areas of communities, are increasing in popularity by activating what can be considered dead space, such as a blank side wall of a building. Murals are becoming a common form of placemaking that encourages one to stop and observe or even to interact with the mural, creating an experience with the built environment. Because of this, many communities across the country are creating guidelines for placement of these wall murals. In response to a mural request this fall, staff researched communities to gain an understanding of their guidelines and review processes, then developed criteria for admission. These were shared with the Community Development Committee at the January and February meetings, and that feedback has been incorporated into a final set of recommended guidelines. These guidelines include provisions such as prohibiting murals in residential areas and the removal of a height and size restriction. Finally, information on the maintenance requirements and expectations for murals were strengthened. The next step of the process will be the adoption of the guidelines through a resolution. Mayor, I move the City Council approve the resolution establishing guidelines for the application of wall murals within the City of Mission.
Second.
second,
We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Mayor, I did just have one quick
Yes.
comment. I just saw while I was doing a final read that on the application itself, so not the resolution, but the application, the first sentence of the maintenance plan says property owners are expected to maintain the mural in an appropriate condition. And in the resolution, it says good condition. So I was just wondering if we could make that minor edit there to have it match and say good condition again.
Okay. Any other comments or discussion? Hearing none, Audrey, please call for the vote.
Schlesmacher,
Aye.
Inman,
Aye.
Boltinghouse,
Aye.
Crane,
Aye.
Flora,
Aye.
Thomas,
Aye.
Rothrock,
Aye.
and Davis.
aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
And that concludes the CDC report.
All right, thank you. That concludes item 6 or 7 on our agenda. Moving on to item 8, which is unfinished business. We don't have any unfinished business, nor do we have item 9, any new business. So we'll move on to item 10, comments from the council. This is an opportunity for comments from members of our council. Does anybody have a comment they'd like to share?
Mayor,
I'd like to, go ahead, Ken.
Ken and then Nick.
Sure.
I just wanted to say kudos to the Public Works staff for the work that they've done in maintaining our streets clean from the snow and ice this past couple of weeks. It's been quite the challenge, I'm sure, and we really are appreciative. I know we're getting plenty of positive responses from the citizens that we represent.
Thank you. Nick?
Ken took the words right out of my mouth. I was just going to say kudos to Public Works for all the hard work they've done in keeping the streets clear. It's been fantastic.
All right, thank you. Anybody else have something?
I have a quick comment.
Yes, Trent.
I wanted to share, voter to voter got back to me and shared results of how we did compared to the other cities. And we won the award for most volunteers, most ambassadors to go out and recruit people to vote. And we logged as a body 363 people in our tracker, and 349 of them ended up voting in the November election for a turnout rate of 96%. So congratulations to all of the folks who were volunteers and were part of this program. I think it was pretty successful. I'd like to see us continue it going forward.
Thanks.
That's fantastic. Kudos to you, Trent.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to item 11, Mayor's Report. I do not have one. So item 12, City Administrator. Laura, do you have a report for us?
I do, Mayor. I just have a couple of things, and I'll start here if I can share my screen in just a moment. Pull this up. Just quickly, the January 2021 interim financial reports were included in your packet, and I just wanted to touch on a couple of points. I know we have a work session next Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. where we're going to take a more in-depth look at how we ended the year for 2020 and some preliminary thoughts and approach as we, start to think about our budget process and actual budget administration for 2021. But as we kicked off this first month of the year, you can see here as we look at general fund revenues, property tax, both general and the 7 mills that we collect for streets come in strong. Our property tax distributions come in twice a year, once in January and then once again in June. So we see a much bigger sort of inflow of property tax revenues than we do some of our other revenue streams. Delinquent property tax, you'll see here is already 140 or 169% of our estimated budget. And my guess is that is just the fact that we had some people who probably were slower last year during the height of the pandemic to probably make their property tax payments. Sales tax, which we'll talk about in a little bit more detail later, is trending right where it should with respect to the budget, which is good. As we know, we finished 2020 in a very strong position. So it's good to see that. Some of our other revenue streams, not surprisingly, particularly those in Parks and Recreation, continue to trend below what we had hoped or what we had anticipated at this point. And that's where we will likely spend more of our time next week during the work session. But overall, at the end of the first month of 2021, we've collected about 19% of our total general fund revenues. As we know, sales tax are our biggest drivers both our general sales tax and use tax. We saw a little bit of a decline January to January. I don't think it's anything to be alarmed about. There's a 2-month lag in sales tax collections. And so it'll be interesting as we look at February to see this isn't necessarily a reflection of the holiday sales or the performance. So we were down year over year, just a little over 6.7%. But when we look at use tax, we see kind of the opposite position. We have collected about 11% of the total budget, and that represents a 45.5% increase over that same time period. So certainly keep an eye on those. And as we get first quarter under our belt, we'll have probably a better sense of larger trends for 2021. Just looking at this next chart and table really just reflects cash that we have on hand, both in the municipal investment pool and in the bank. And as you can see, we have about $12.7 million. As we talked, I think briefly about at our work session or committee meeting recently, excuse me, we did not have to dip into the excess fund balance or those excess general fund reserves as much as we had anticipated for 2020. So our fund balance position remains very strong. Really, all of our departments are trending right where they need to be with respect to the budget. And street sales tax collections, again, mirroring the general sales tax collections down about 6.86% over 2020 collections when we look month to month. So the balance of the report that's included in your packet has all of that really interesting detail on revenues and expenses that I know you love to pore over. We will continue. I have had some thoughts as we move through 2021 about some different components that we'll want to add to our monthly interim financial reports. I'd like to see us add some information on capital projects and the status of expenditures on some of our more significant capital projects throughout the year. So we'll continue to develop that and share that. These, as I said, are there in the packet and they have been posted to the website. So with that, unless there are any questions on kind of interim financials, again, we do have a work session scheduled for next Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m., which is going to be primarily a look at that budget. As we've been looking ahead to agendas in the coming months, they are full. It's amazing. It feels like we haven't even slowed down a single bit to catch our breath as we roll into this next year. So lots of exciting things happening. And we'll look forward to bringing those issues, both action and discussion items, forward. Just a reminder that we currently have a Johnson Drive functionality survey out that's available for, there's one survey link that's available for users, drivers and pedestrians on the street, and a second link that is available for our business owners throughout that section of the corridor. The user link is also available to other businesses that aren't located primarily in that downtown stretch between Lamar and Knoll. Emily tells me that as of tonight, we've had 200 responses to the user survey and about 16 responses on the business side, which I think is a real positive, and we'll continue to kind of push and make some personal invitations to try and collect some additional information from particularly the business community. We've also, last night was our first focus group. We're holding a series of focus groups. We had, I think, close to 40 people through the survey process who'd indicated that they would be interested and willing to participate in the focus groups. And we get really excited about that because there were a lot of new names and faces. And so we always welcome the opportunity to bring new people into these conversations into the work that we're doing. So remaining focus groups, we have one tomorrow at noon. And then we have two next Monday, the 22nd of February, one at noon and one at 6:30 p.m. So please RSVP to Emily if you're interested in participating in one of those focus groups. We'll be then summarizing the results of the survey and notes from the focus groups and bringing that back as a discussion item for the council in March. Weather, that's been our focus this week. And we've had, I think most of you are aware, we've had water line breaks at both the community center and on Monday evening in the midst of the Parks Recreation and Tree Commission meeting. And then this morning in the police department and at City Hall. And so we are currently working first to get those things cleaned up and get people relocated and offices back functioning. And then we will certainly be working to kind of collect information on those costs and determine whether or not we have an opportunity to submit a claim to our insurance carrier for any reimbursement of those costs. So we'll keep you posted about that. And I think that's all I have this evening, with the exception that we promised you that tonight we would announce the launch date for the new city website. So I'm going to turn that over to Emily, who has spent hours and hours and hours over the last several months working through all the pages of content. So.
Yeah, so we're fulfilling a promise, but we content is written, so that's huge, and working now on all the imagery and the bugs in construction. I would say we'll be launching into department review of pages, letting everybody, the users and such, touch and feel their pages, make revisions if necessary the week of March 8th. And then be doing a little bit of tweaking and throughout. But we thought a launch date that would be fun and memorable would be April Fool's Day, April 1st. So we'll use March as the trial run and piloting and all of those things, and then we'll go big on April 1st. So that's our plan.
May I ask a question, not regarding the website?
Yes, Ken.
Regarding the report, the finance report, can you give us an update on the East Gateway development and whether the payments are current?
They have currently paid taxes on one of the 5 parcels at the Gateway site. And the other, as far as I'm aware, they have not made a payment on the other 4 parcels. And I had a meeting today with Pete Heaven and Bruce Kimmel, and bringing forward a more detailed update for the council about potential next steps.
Thank you.
Does that conclude your
Since we've
report,
opened
Laura?
that can of worms, can you just clarify, Laura, what that would mean for the city's potential ability to do anything about that? Because I'm sure that'll turn into questions for us.
Well, that's what I'm working on. We're trying to make sure that we lay out what options we have, and we can bring those back to you, so we can be very thoughtful and deliberate in how we address that.
Awesome. Thank you.
And that concludes my report, Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Moving on to item 13, executive session. We do not have an executive session needed for this evening. So moving on, before we adjourn tonight, I would like to share with the public that the video from this meeting will be available through a link on our website, missionks.org. There being no further business tonight, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, we'll see you later, guys.
Bye.